Imagine a space for South Asian women where stories are not just told, but actually felt. This is ROOH, Rising Over Obstacles and Healing, brought to you by Jyoti and Monica, two friends who set out to carve a little space and make a difference by sharing stories and fostering healing and strength within our community. We invite you to listen and reflect, finding your own path one story at a time. And just for sticking around, there's a golden biscuit at the end of each episode. Hi, welcome to ROOH. So ever since I was a little girl, I dreamed of getting married, wearing a beautiful lehenga, and having all these beautiful suits, visiting places with my husband, eventually having kids, and just having this beautiful life. As a child, I don't think I ever realized that the ride, I guess you could call it, is not always a smooth one. There are many ups and downs when it comes to, one, finding your life partner, two, becoming a mom. So today, we have a very brave, very special guest, Neetu, who is going to share her journey. Now, up until this point, I have not made it very clear, and I'm going to do so today. Most of our guests that come on this show use a pseudonym. So this is because ROOH is meant to be a very safe space for everyone to be able to share their story without any sort of hesitation. Sometimes when we reveal our true identity or our names, we're recognizable and, we share parts of our lives that we may not want the whole world to know. So anyway, just wanted to make it clear. Welcome to the show, Neetu. I am so excited to have you and hear all about your story.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that I can share my story, and hopefully I can help someone that's going through the same journey or has been through the same journey as I have. And I'm sure many women that are out there feel the same way.
Yeah. So let us begin by hearing how you met your husband and I guess take us along this ride.
So me and my husband, we met through one of my really good friends. It was just a funny story. I was out of gas. I was doing an internship during college, and I was going to get gas because I almost ran out of gas. And he used to manage a gas station at the time.
Okay.
And I went inside and I saw this really good-looking guy, and I said, "Wow, I would." And it turns out that he happened to be Punjabi as well.
Okay.
So I had one of my friends that worked with me. I told her the story, and she went back to the gas station, and she got his number for me. I was so embarrassed. But it just worked out. We dated for about almost 9 months, and 15 months later, we were married. It's just it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
He's truly my soulmate, and I'm really glad that I met him. It was just fate.
Yeah, it's a good thing you ran out of gas that day.
Yes, it was.
The oddest things, right? Like who would have thought when you meet that person, it's ordained, I think.
It definitely is, yes. It was, it's a great story. I tell it to many people. It's like I said, it was just meant to be for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just a great partner, all around, very supportive. I really thank God for him. I really do. He's overall helpful in everything that I do. Mm-hmm. On the journey that we've been, he's been nothing but supportive, which has helped me so much going forward. And, this is why I feel like I need to tell my story or my journey. So there's other women out there that hopefully
if they're going through something like this, then it would help. Yeah, I mean, I admire you for having the courage to do so.
Thank you.
So, and then there was no family drama. You met each other, fell in love, and families were okay? Because, in South Asian families...
There's always drama. My father, he didn't 100% agree in the beginning, but... Okay. It took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And then they were okay with it. My father, I think, imagined that I'm going to find my daughter a great guy from India or who would be a doctor or a lawyer or something.
Engineer.
And, those hopes went out the window. But it worked out. They love him. He's, like I said, I'm not saying they couldn't have found anyone better for me, but I feel like my family loves my husband.
Yeah.
Just the way his character is. He just supports me so much and has helped me along all these years.
Okay, good. So after you get married, when did the conversation come up about wanting to start a family?
So after we got married, my husband wanted to have children right away. And I said, you know what, let's just enjoy married life. So we waited like maybe a couple of years.
Okay, yeah.
Just to get to know each other,
Yeah.
you know, just have just a couple life before we decided. I'm a sibling of 3.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to have 3 children. It was just embedded in my head that I wanted to have 3 children. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have 2 boys and 1 girl. It was like already planted in my head.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted. And I always wanted a son first. So he would be like a vadapra to
Protector.
a sister.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always wanted that. But, you know, God has other plans for you. Let's say it like that. And, you know, we started planning to have a baby and it just didn't happen for a year.
Okay.
And then I started to see my gynecologist. You know, nothing is happening. We're not using any protection. I'm doing everything that I need to. So they ran some tests and found out I had really bad endometriosis. So when I was at a young age, I would bleed very heavy, like 7 days.
Okay.
A lot of pain. I would have a lot of pain. But I didn't know what was that. You know, my mom didn't know either, you know. We don't discuss periods in Desi families.
We don't, exactly.
We don't discuss anything, you
Yeah,
know. So when I went to the doctor and they did a number of tests and they found out that I had really bad endometriosis, which had traveled to my ovaries, to my fallopian tubes. The doctor was like, the only way you can probably end up getting pregnant is through IVF. That was probably, it was such a shock to me because I didn't expect that.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I always thought of, you know, I want to make love to my husband. I want to get pregnant naturally. And we tried and it never happened. So it was a real blow to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to explain, but it was really hard for me to accept that.
As a woman.
And, you know, my friends getting married, having children naturally, my cousins, sister, everybody next to me. So that was really hard. But again, my husband was very supportive. We embarked on that journey of, okay, let's see how we can create a family. We want a family. So after that, we started the IVF journey, you know, which was honestly very costly, but we never let that get in the way of us wanting to have children.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I was working at the time. I had just started a new job after college and the insurance didn't cover it. So we had to lay everything out of pocket. So that was a big financial burden for us. But we planned it out accordingly.
What is that cost like for those listening?
So I think our first was around $25,000.
Wow.
At that time. So
Out of
talking
pocket.
about, about out of pocket. So we maneuvered that. We got lucky. So the first try, I got pregnant.
Okay.
So happy, so elated.
Yeah.
Got pregnant.
Yeah.
But 6 weeks later, I started bleeding and I lost that child.
Oh my gosh.
So that was very devastating.
Yeah.
And I had, I believe, 2 embryos left. So the doctor's like, okay, maybe after 7-8 weeks, clear it out. You start some medications because, you know, during IVF, you take a lot of injections because the first initial injection you're taking is to make eggs.
Okay.
Right. And then as many as you can. So they do the embryo transfer. So I had some embryos frozen. So the second was an IVF transfer.
Okay.
Which, unfortunately, I think I only had 2 or 3, and they tried, and I didn't get pregnant. So that didn't happen. So we had to wait another 4 or 5 months, redo the process of the injections, getting more eggs. So I got lucky. I got like, I think 10 or 12.
Okay.
And then, you know, we had embryos. But then what happens with IVF is you get your eggs, they inject the sperm, and then they wait for them to develop. So out of that, I think we got like 5 or 6 good embryos.
Okay.
And then we did the journey again of doing the embryo transfer.
Yeah.
And I got pregnant again with 1 embryo. But the same thing kept on happening. Like I kept on losing the baby like at 4 weeks or 5 weeks. So,
What did the doctors say? Like, was it because of the endometriosis? Is that why?
it is possible. I mean, they check everything. They check your uterus. They check just to make sure there is no, you know, in the lining, there's no issues. There was never any issues. So we really never knew what the cause was ever.
Okay.
So we did that for about 2 years. And then we kind of just took a break because it was emotionally very draining.
Yeah. Oh, I can only
It is very
imagine.
draining.
Yeah.
You know, there would be nights of like just crying, just why am I going through this? It was just having that loss, going through this, not being able to get pregnant.
Yeah. Were you able to share this with, you mentioned your husband has been very supportive.
He is. Yeah.
What about your family, your immediate family? Were you able to share openly with them what was happening?
No, I never really talked to anyone. My sister knew and my mom knew, but I didn't think my mom ever discussed anything with my father about it. You know, that's just a Desi culture. I don't think we go into that with anyone that's male. I don't know. Like my father-in-law knew, my mother-in-law knew. And, after that second, try of the IVF, it didn't work. Then my in-laws wanted me to travel to India. They wanted me to get treatment over there because they see treatment,
oh gosh. Yeah.
So that was a journey. I did do it because, my mother-in-law.
Went?
Yes, I did. Because my mother-in-law was, and that was also a good thing about my husband's family. They were, thank God, very supportive.
Yeah.
My mom she's not here with us, but my mother-in-law, I used to say, she was very supportive. She's always giving me, no problem, beta, ho juga, just, trust Vaheguru.
Yeah.
Be paat karya karo, and you have to have faith.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I think, and my husband always told me that, it was the one thing that I was always lacking. Like I never really developed that faith, a faith of that, Vaheguru ne dena manu, I mean, I'm semi-religious, but I think on that part, I had a journey to get that faith in my system. I never had that. Yeah. And all the years we went through this over and over again, I just never developed that. My husband sat me down one day and he's like, listen, it doesn't matter where you go. Like when I went to India, my parents were like, okay, babbe ko le jao, etthe jao. My in-laws. Yeah. So they were like, etthe jao, etthe matha tikana hai karna. And my husband's like, look, you can do 1,000 things like that.
Yeah.
But it's never going to happen for you if you don't have faith. Yeah. You have to believe.
Yeah.
You have to believe. He goes, jithe marji ja, matha tekna. But if it's not in you, it'll never happen. And it never really clicked until literally, I would say like at least 7-8 years later from the first IVF that I had.
Oh, wow.
Because it took me 15 years to have my son.
Okay.
And it was such a journey, and I just never thought about it because I was like, nahi, manu nahi vishwash hega. He's like, well, it's not going to happen because tenu vishwash nahi anda hega. You have to have that faith.
Yeah. That is so
He's like, tu
important.
jitna marji paat kar la, it doesn't matter, but you have to believe.
Yeah.
Vishwash is very important.
It is, yeah.
And like I said, I feel personally like this is what Vaheguru wanted me to have this journey, to believe in him.
Mm-hmm. What shifted? Like, when did you, actually start to have that faith and belief?
So the last IVF that we did, I had, I think, 3 or 4 embryos, and I got pregnant. And, that pregnancy was great. It worked out really well. I wasn't on bed rest, but I was working at the same time. Mm-hmm. But I also want to say, for the endometriosis, I've had many surgeries to remove it, laparoscopic surgeries. Then I also had a major surgery, which was a laparotomy surgery. Okay. This is all because of the endometriosis. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot of scar tissue in my system, in my pelvic area. Okay. So they had to go in and remove that. So the last, not my son now, but the previous first pregnancy, that was successful to a certain point. So I carried that baby to 5 months. And due to the endometriosis and the amount of surgeries, nobody really realized that my cervix became really weak. Okay. So when I was pregnant with that baby, at 5 weeks, my cervix opened up and I had to be rushed to the hospital because the whole uterus and the baby started to come down. Okay. Yeah. I was 20 weeks. Wow. So I was rushed to the hospital and they kind of said to me, the baby's lungs haven't developed. The veins around the lungs haven't developed, and we can't save this baby, even though nothing was wrong with him. We can't save this baby. Mm-hmm. And so I was literally in bed, and I had to make this decision that I have to deliver this baby. Yeah. And he's alive, and there's nothing nobody can do for me. Yeah. It was such a hard decision because
Yeah.
I literally had to deliver him and they couldn't save him. And I was like, look, I'll stay here in the hospital for the next 4 weeks because at 24 weeks, they can deliver that baby and they can put him in NICU and, give him the appropriate treatment.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, you're going to gain an infection. Your uterus is all open. We cannot do anything for you. So literally they had to give me a pill to kind of induce labor. So I had to I had to kill my child to deliver him just to save my own self so I can get pregnant again.
Yeah, there was no, as hard as it sounds, there was no win in that situation. Even if, because as a mom, you will do anything to save a child. But there was no win in that situation. There was nothing you could have done.
Yeah.
That's when you lean into God and you realize, we question why does something happen to us? Why did it have to be me? But like you said, it was a journey you had to go through to learn to have faith.
Yeah.
And, you always hear this, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Absolutely.
And to see, your son, to see you as such a strong person now.
Yeah, and then, the hospital didn't take him, so we had to bury him. And we did that, and, I would cry nights. When we did Ardas, went to Gurdwara, all I said to Vaheguru, why me? Like, why? Mainu kyo enna ho raha hai? Like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Like, I've never looked at any of my friends that have gotten married after, my cousins, my sister, my brother, everyone's had kids. I said I never looked at them in an envious way to say, "Ede kol haiga bachcha, mera na ho gaya. Inne saal ho gaye mere vyah nu. What's wrong with me? Why am I going through this?" I said I never looked at anyone. I was happy for them.
Yeah.
So after that, I had to wait about 18 months, they said, to try again. And but I think during that time, I kind of realized, I felt like, you know what, it's because I didn't have the faith, I felt like I guess what my take was, Vaheguru kehanda, tu mere te vishwash nahi kardi hai ki, you know what, I'm gonna, you stand up, I'm gonna knock you down again. That's how I take it. You stand up, I'm gonna knock you down until tera vishwash nahi banda mere te.
Yeah.
This is how I always thought. And I was like, you know what? I know when main Baba Ji kol jaungi, that's exactly what I'm going to hear. This is what my inner soul is telling me. Because mera vishwash nahi banda. You kehna, tu khadi hoingi, main tenu thalle geranga, fir khadi ho, fir aayingi mere kole. Again and again.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think when I had that loss, I think that was the ultimate, just the ultimate kicker for me. You know what?
The fall, where you made up that mind.
Yeah, that I have to, So the next time, so we tried again. I got pregnant with my son. So before we started that journey, for a year and a half, so in April, I started doing Dukh Panjani Sahib Path.
Okay.
So I woke up in the morning before sunrise, and I would do it religiously every day. And then we did IVF in October.
Okay.
So I got pregnant, but I continued doing Path every day. And I did it throughout my pregnancy. And in this pregnancy with my son, I had such a hard time. So from the previous loss, they had stitched up my cervix because they didn't want me to have the same issue.
Yeah.
So I was a high-risk pregnancy. So they monitored me every week. So going back to Dukh Panjani Sahib, so I did the Path every day. And I have to say, all the issues that I had with my pregnancy with this son. So I got pregnant in October. So Thanksgiving came. Usually my father invites everyone at his house. And I started bleeding that very day, like heavy bleeding. I wasn't even 6 weeks.
Okay.
So bleeding very heavy. I called my husband.
Yeah.
Called my doctors. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah. Nobody's open. They're like, you're taking your shots. Like, you have to take progesterone. You have to take some other shots to keep the pregnancy, strong.
Okay.
So I called my doctor. I said, listen, like, I'm bleeding. And it was like the worst fear for me and my husband. We're like, oh my God, we're going to lose this baby. And I cried so much. And my husband's like, don't worry, just take it easy. The doctor's like, keep taking your shots. So I bled for like 2 days.
Okay.
So Monday came, Thanksgiving weekend went, Monday came, I went to the lab. They did the test. It was like 24 hours of the worst waiting period of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, Gurdwara Sahib ja ke ardas karo, you know, me and my husband, we would always go. Every time I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, the baby's fine, everything's fine. We would go to Gurdwara and Vaheguru Thoda Shukran.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And then, so when I got back the test on Tuesday, the doctor's like, nope, the baby's fine. There's nothing wrong. I was like, oh my God, Vaheguru.
Vaheguru, yeah.
Thoda bahut bahut shukran hai. I had no idea. So when they did my ultrasound, they were like, I forgot what they called it, but there's like a certain part of there's certain blood accumulated on the side that made me bleed. But nothing was wrong with the baby.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So, and then during the pregnancy, I had a lot of, because like I said, I had endometriosis and many surgeries. So I had a lot of adhesions in my belly, you know. So my son, he just never had a lot of movement.
Okay.
So I would always like shake my belly when it
Yeah.
came to like 4 or 5 months to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because he never really moved. He was always in one breech position all the time.
Okay.
So I had like bladder issues. I would drink a lot of water, but my body wasn't taking all that water out of my body. And so I would go to the hospital like consistently. They would have to put a catheter in, take the urine out. It's just because my bladder was stuck to my uterus. So every time the uterus grew, the bladder elongated. So it just, so meaning to say, long story short, I had so many issues with my son in this pregnancy, but I feel like just having faith and doing Dukpanjani Sahib Part, I can't tell you that everything went very smoothly, even though I had major issues.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Because you had that faith. You believed now that Vaheguru is going to give me this baby.
Right. And I never worried. It was the chinta jehdi hundi hai thode dimag chon nikal jandi hai. I never worried about anything.
Okay.
So I was about 34 weeks pregnant, kind of nearing the end of the pregnancy. And I had gone in again for my urination issue. My bladder wasn't emptying all the way. They did the catheter, took the urine out. And then they tested my blood pressure. Turned out my blood pressure was skyrocketing. I think 190 over some crazy number, 90 or 100.
Okay.
So they diagnosed me with preeclampsia, which, you know, can happen to women during pregnancy.
Yeah.
So they admitted me. They're like, my son was breech. They're like, listen, we're going to have to do a emergency C-section in the morning. Okay. Again, he was 34 weeks, so they gave me an injection for his lungs to develop further. So 6 a.m., I was taken into the OR. They started the process of the C-section. So during the C-section, obviously I had my OBGYN surgeon there. They had gotten a general surgeon and also a urologist because of the bladder issues that I had.
Yeah.
So during that time, while they're starting the C-section, turns out, again, that's how I discovered the bladder was always attached to the uterus, because when they opened up my belly, they saw all this.
Okay.
So the general surgeon, like, I'm in and out of sedation.
Yeah.
I can hear the doctor, and my husband's next to me, and he's yelling for the general surgeon to come, because with all the endometriosis and the surgeries and the adhesions in my belly, they had a hard time getting to my son. Okay. And he was panicking, the doctor, like he couldn't get to my son fast enough. And so, again, they had the general surgeon there. They had to cut the bladder to a certain point so it can come off of my uterus. So I had a lot of, like I said, adhesions, which were making the complication of the doctor getting to my uterus to get my son out. And then the urologist came. So it was a very risky surgery. I lost a lot of blood. They got my son out and back to normal. But bringing me up, I really had... They took my son to NICU because he was 34 weeks. Thankfully, everything was okay with him. Okay. I was in the hospital, like, over-sedated for 24 hours. So I didn't wake up until 24 hours later. Oh, wow. I saw my son very briefly when they took him really quickly. And then I didn't see him until almost 2 days later because I just had a lot of issues with the C-section itself. Lost a lot of blood. They gave me blood. The bladder issue. So when I was in my room... the doctor came, spoke to me. He's like, look, we had to cut your bladder. So that means you will have a urine bag for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Oh, wow. You have to carry because you have to let your bladder heal. Yeah. We have to go in and see the stitches are healing okay. So here I am. I have a baby, thank God, in NICU.
Yeah.
You know, I have to breastfeed.
Yeah.
I have this bag next to me. So it was just a very challenging journey.
Yeah. I mean, it's challenging enough as it is.
Right.
Being a new mom, right?
Yeah.
But then you add in all these factors.
Right.
Where did you find the strength?
It's honestly, it was, I never stopped doing BOT, you know, the Panjanisa. And I felt like every little thing that I went through, I never worried. I think I got the strength from just the faith that I had gained from doing BOT over and over again. So my son's in NICU. I got released with the, you know, with the bag. So I would go home, and every day, because he was in NICU, I had to pump my breast milk. Okay. So I would travel to, my dad would take, so I stayed with my parents for the 2 months after my son was born. He was in NICU for about 10 days, and then they released him. Okay. So during the time he was in NICU, I would pump my breast milk and take it to him, spend some time with him, and then come back. Okay. My mother was always like, "Oh, tere stitches lagiyan hui hain, tenu aram karna chahida." I was like, and I would cry. I was like, "Listen, I'm here. My baby's over there. I want to spend time with him." Yeah. So I would go literally every day, even though I had stitches in my belly. I would sit there for. My father would take me like 11 a.m. and I wouldn't come back until 8 at night. Oh wow! And my mom's like, "You have to rest, you know, because."
But you're a mother, you just gave birth, your baby's there.
Yeah. And my mom's like, look, your stitches have to heal. Yeah. You know, like the old mentalities, tu packet, lambi packet, ram karya kar, you know. Yeah. Like, and again, you know, everything was fine. I had the bag, I would, you know, my urine on the side. So, and I did everything still with my son. And then the day the doctor's like, okay, we're going to release your son, I developed a fever.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So I developed a fever. My mom's like, I bet you got a urinary infection. Because my mom is a retired nurse.
Okay, yeah.
So she's like, I bet you have a urinary tract infection. I'm like, why? She's like, ho janda, you know? She goes, you've had the catheter in your system for a long time. It's natural. So I went there. I had like 103 fever. They admitted me to the hospital. This is the day that I was supposed to get my son and pick him up and bring him home.
Oh my gosh.
So I said, okay. So I had to convince NICU, you have to keep him. And, you know, they were like, so the baby's ready to go home. So hospitals don't want any liability. They're like, no, you got to. I told him, I said, I have nobody to take care of my son. He's a premature baby. Yeah. So they ended up saying, okay, we'll keep him until you're out of the hospital. So I got admitted. They took a ultrasound to make sure that my bladder was healing okay. Thank God it was. So I stayed in the hospital for 3-4 days until I was feeling 100%, and they were able to take the catheter out. My system was working right, you know, urination and stuff. So then I ended up picking him up and then bringing him home. So that was like the last hurdle, you know, like the last straw and stuff. So. But again, I have to say that all this strength doing BOT was probably one of the biggest eye-opening journey that I went through. And the last thing that I want to say is that I had like 3-4 dreams. So with my first baby, we found out the gender, that it was a boy. With this one, we both agreed, my husband and I, that it doesn't matter whether it's a son or a daughter. It didn't matter to us what we were having. So for my son now, we never really found out. We said no. So I told the doctors, make sure, the nurses, whoever does the ultrasound, I don't want to know the sex of the baby. So that was fine. So during doing BOT, I had 3 dreams. So the first dream I had is I'm playing with a baby boy. I never really said anything to anyone until after my son was born. So that was one. And the second one I had, I'm telling my husband, oh, te beta pya haiga, main naan ja rahi hu, please watch over him. The third and the ultimate thing that I can always say over, like that wow moment, was I'm in my house, I'm holding my son, and I'm saying, koi nahi, tu jaldi aa gaya, but tu theek hai. This is a dream I had even before I went through everything with my son.
Oh my gosh.
When I think about it, the hairs on my body just raise up every time I tell someone. And this was a dream that I had way before. Nobody knew I was going to have my son early. I had this dream way before.
Before any issues.
Before you
with the gender. I mean, anything.
And I'm like, I'm standing there, I'm carrying him, looking at him. I'm like, koi nahi, tu bahut theek, you're okay. तू जल्दी हो गया but वाहिगुरू ने तेनू ठीक लियांदा. And this is even before.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that and I was like, I cannot believe that. And I can only attribute that. And my husband always says, you know, tu bani kitti hai and you chit la ke kitti hai.
Yeah.
Ek कहते ना दसम ग्रंथ जड़ा खोलदा ना वाहिगुरू थोड़े ਲਈ. He's like, you have no idea what level you were at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you saw all these things before they happened.
Yeah.
And they were true.
Yeah. I've heard of, you know, what you are capable of seeing when you get to that spiritual level.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you've experienced it.
I mean, I can't. I'm talking to you and I have like this, something's happening to my body just talking about it. It's just because that is, and I told my husband that, he goes, yeah, but tu samajhdi nahi hagi what happened to you. He's like, you'll reach a different level because tu bani padi hai.
Yeah.
And you believed.
You believed. Yeah.
You know, tu vishwash kita.
Yeah.
And all the times that I went to the hospital for every little issues with my son, from the time I was 6 weeks pregnant, I bled so much. We thought we were losing the baby.
Yeah.
To bladder issues, to the preeclampsia,
to
the C-section, the doctor having a hard time getting to my son.
Yeah.
Afterwards, having the bladder issue. I mean,
The fever,
countless things that happened. And, you know, and my son always remained fine, you know.
Yeah. And you held on to the belief that it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I never worried. I tell you, I never worried. I don't think mere ek chinta mere dimag se every time I went to the hospital, kuch ho jaga. Oh my gosh, what's happening to me? Like, no, nothing. I had not one worry. And one thing I know I forgot to mention is also I had a lot of swelling in my legs during my pregnancy.
Okay.
My legs swelled up to be 3 times my leg size.
Oh my gosh.
Because I had a lot of water retention.
Yeah.
They did ultrasounds on me because they were worried I might get a blood clot or something. And, you know, I was always telling the doctors, am I going to get back my legs because they were so heavy?
Yeah.
You know, I was wearing compression tights, socks and stuff like that. But, you know, again, I never worried about anything. Nothing ever crossed my mind. Kadi nahi main fikr karke dekhya hai. I was like, main apni bani paddi si, and I think I got so much strength from just reading Dukh Panjani Sahib.
Yeah, that's amazing. The power of
Path.
But
yeah. And especially when you do it. And, you know, mainu karna nahi aanda si Path pehla. So how I started was I would wake up, naake, beh jandi sigi, and I put it on YouTube.
Okay.
And I would listen to ek bhai ji hai ne, he reads it for like bahut nice and easy.
Yeah.
Main naal gutka sahab rakh lendi si, and I would read it until manu padna aaya.
Okay.
So I listened to him first until manu padna aaya changi tarah, and then I would do it on my own. I would still listen to him, but I still did it on my own.
Did you know how to read Gurmukhi?
No, I have English Gutka Sahib.
Okay, so then so you use the English Gutka Sahib.
Yeah.
And wow, that's dedication.
Yeah. I you know what? Because I listen to my husband, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the right way.
All in.
Yeah. You know, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of discovered that you have to have that faith.
Yes.
And I think when I go back to what I said before, Waheguru ne inni baar thalle gere na, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, when you reach that level, I'm going to give you what you want. I never, and that's why every time ਮੈਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਮੰਮੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਇੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ, that's what my husband always said, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, it doesn't really matter wherever you go. He's like, ਜੇ ਤੂੰ ਇਹ ਬਾਬੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉੱਤੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. But I was like, no, you know what? ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਆਂਦਾ ਸੀ, when I went to ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ. ਮੈਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ ਨਾ, I was like, so my husband's like, so then you do, that's it, ਤੂੰ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਉਂ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ? If somebody's telling you, go here, it's like, ਤੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੈ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ, ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਰੱਖ, ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਜਾ. You know, don't go anywhere else.
Exactly.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਦੇਣਾ, put that in your head. And that's what I did.
No,
and I put that in my head, and I did my part. Chit la ke main part kitte ne. I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning every day in my pregnancy, no matter what, legs swollen, whatever was happening, I did it. Every day main part nahi chhadya hega. And I did it after my son was born. I would wake up, breastfeed, sit down, and you know what? There's no any hega bhi 4:30 ਉੱਠ ਕੇ ਕਰੋ. Sometimes ਮੈਂ 6 ਵਜੇ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ. ਇਹ part ਕਿਸੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ. I know we make it to, okay, ਇੰਨੇ ਵਜੇ ਪੜੋ, ਚੰਗਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ, which I started. But after my son was born, ਮੈਂ later ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ. But as long as ਮੈਂ ਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਲੈਂਦੀ ਸੀ, I was like, okay, I want to do that.
Exactly. It was, you saw the power that
Jyoti was like amazing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just told you that dream that I had. It was something that I said, I cannot believe I had
cannot
that
believe
dream.
that. Exactly. I cannot
That was
believe.
like a shocker.
That's, the power of faith, belief.
Yep.
Vaheguru.
Yes. It's
God above all.
Yeah.
Right?
ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਸੁਣਾਵਾਂ ਕਈ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ or we don't believe, right? ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ then listen to my story because it's my story, it's my journey, it's our journey, my husband's journey. I said we've been there, done that. ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ believe ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਹੈਗਾ then I can't. You know what I mean? I can't tell you anything different.
There's no hope for you then. But no, I mean, what a remarkable story. What an inspiring story. I'm still thinking about your dream and how everything happened. And I feel blessed that you decided to share this story. I want you to give us like a takeaway. If, someone who's going through this journey, who is perhaps not having the easiest time getting pregnant, what sort of advice or what would the golden biscuit be that you would give this person?
It just depends on what someone's doing. Are they, do they have that faith? My takeaway is that, I think you have to believe. It's just like positive thinking. And I never gave up on having a child. I always said to myself, manu jo marji karna pauga, I'm going to do it. Kyunki Vaheguru manu courage dinda, So I would say to someone, just don't give up. I know each journey is unique to the individual. But kadi tusi piche na hato. Do whatever you can. I'm telling you, at somewhere Vaheguru thoda saath dauga. I promise you. But you have to believe. I was lacking that. And once I got that, I never went back. I could have let go very easy. I could have said to myself, nahi, mere to nahi hunda haiga. But every time I fell, I got up and I tried again. And I think, like I said, Vaheguru was waiting for me to reach that level. Like, okay. And I say that to whoever's listening, and I hope this helps someone out there, whoever's going through this infertility journey. It's not easy. It's very emotionally draining. And we didn't look at the money part. I couldn't care less about the money, to be honest. I always looked at emotionally. It was probably the hardest thing that we had to go through. So just have faith and just keep going if you can. And just don't give up.
And I would say to the listeners, even if you are not going through this, have compassion. When we make those comments, oh, you've been married for this long and you don't have kids.
It took us, I don't think I said that, but it took us 15 years to have my son after all the trial and tribulations. And it took my husband and I quite some time as well. And the comments that you hear, nobody knows what's actually happening. But the comments, I got comments like, initially it was, you're too fat and that's why you can't conceive. And then I went on this journey to like lose weight and, get myself in shape. Then I was too skinny and that's why I couldn't conceive. I feel like we, as a society, make these comments so often, not realizing the effect that they're having on people. So one thing that I also want our listeners to take away from this is, even though our society and the way we've been brought up, there are no boundaries, we ask all kinds of questions, sometimes just give space. I mean, I remember thinking now back that every time I would go to somebody's wedding, saal ho gaya, koi khushkhabari hagi hai, koi khushkhabari hagi hai, I stopped going to parties because that's all they would ask. All the chachijis and everybody else, like koi anda siga, koi khushkhabari, like it became so like emotionally draining, and I would get upset and I stopped going to like functions or weddings because every time you meet the older aunties and everybody, that's all they ask you.
Exactly. Not realizing the effect it's having on you.
Because you're already trying to get pregnant. You're already, upset and disappointed and just discouraged about what's happening. You can't get pregnant. And then on top of that, they keep asking you every time.
And it's not like you can just share the whole story at a wedding. Like you can't just be like, oh, this is what's happening to me. Obviously, these are things that are private that you sometimes don't want to share what's exactly happening. But I think that we need to refrain from even asking and putting that pressure on. When are we going to see grandkids? We're getting so old,
Yep.
What's happening? And it's like not realizing that those comments that are harmless to you are very harmful to ones who are actually trying.
Right, because it's just that process. And I think the older generation, maybe now it might be a little more relevant to what we talk about. I think everything in social media is more open. I think it's different now. But, 10, 15, 20 years ago, nobody knew this and nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
And which is why I felt like I wanted to tell this story. Anyone in the audience that's listening, and I'm hoping that it would make you brave in taking that next step in, having that faith and just going through your journey.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Neetu. It's been really, really a pleasure.
Thank you.
Speaking with you and hearing your story. Like I said before, I admire your courage, and I wholeheartedly appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to ROOH. We appreciate you joining us as we cultivate a community of strong, empowered women, one story at a time. If you or someone you know has a story you'd like to share, please contact us at roohdaraz@gmail.com. That's ROOHDARAAZ@gmail.com. Also, do us a favor and please share this podcast with your sisters, your mom, your friends, aunties, your eyebrow lady, like any lady you know. You get the idea. Till next time, Kush raho, be well.